All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Saturday, August 31st, 2024, and of course, we just sort of finished with the preseason, right? We're a week removed from the NFL, week 3 of the preseason. We're about to start the 2024 regular season, and really, who can't wait, right? I mean, we've got the Chiefs and the Ravens to open up the regular season, then the Packers and the Eagles in Brazil on Friday, and we have a full slate of games Sunday, something to do on Monday with a couple games. It's really going to be an exciting weekend coming up. We just got to get through this coming week. But, since we're at that time, we're at the end of the preseason, we know what injuries are happening. We kind of know what the rosters look like for each teams. We've kind of seen things kind of gel together in the preseason a little bit, not very much. So, of course, now let's do some predictions, right? We're going to do it a little different than we've done in years past. I'm going to do both the AFC and NFC in one day. Then tomorrow will be the entire wild card, the entire divisional, the following day, then the championship round, then the Super Bowl prediction should hit right before the start of the season. And then, of course, we have streams to do and all that other fun stuff. And yeah, so basically we'll get started here and kind of jump into our AFC predictions. As usual, we will not, this is kind of like a yearly thing, so you kind of, if you've watched this before, you kind of know what's coming. We will not give like exact records. That's not the point. The point of this is to show where we think each team will place in the division, which is more important. I have to check something. Okay, we're good. I had to make sure the audio was playing because I was a little worried. Anyway, we will not, whatever. I will give brief explanations about why I think each team will place where they do. Again, it's not going to be like super in depth, probably a couple minutes per situation, if that. We will use last season's edition. Of this is kind of just explaining the rationale. I'm not going to go through each thing. Addition, loss of players, and just general feelings to dictate the standings. They may all not be discussed in this video, but all these things have been considered and more fully. So it's not like I just kind of winged it and just went this, and this. So, anyway, AFC South. Up first, we have the Tennessee Titans, and I think they'll win about 7 to 9 games. One of the reasons I think they're going to struggle this year is I think they have put together a halfway decent team. I'm not really sure what the offense is going to look like. They play pretty solid defense if they can stay healthy. Little unsure about the coaching situation, so that's also why I have them in the 7 to 9 win range. Also, I think that the Jaguars, Texans, and the Colts are all significantly improved and going to be very good teams. So that could be as many as 6 losses, maybe 5 or 4 losses for them. So that kind of just jacks it up. And then of course you're playing other good teams throughout the league. So again, again, these aren't even like, it's not even like a knock on Tennessee. It's just like a lot of new stuff, a lot of uncertainty about the new things. Is Will Mayo a good quarterback? I hope that's his actual name. And it's not just because he likes mayonnaise. Yeah, and just the division around them is very, very good. So it's not that Tennessee's bad. I think they're just in a rough spot. In a different division, they could be like a 9-win team. But moving on, we have the Indianapolis Colts, who I think they'll win about 8 to 10 games. Again, there's a little bit of uncertainty. They played pretty good at the end of last year with Gardner Minshew and everything, with all the injuries that they had going on. Sorry, I feel like I got a burp and it's not coming. But with the Colts, I'm like, all right, they have some consistency from year to year. This is, what is it? Shane Steichen is, I think, their head coach. There we go. Shane Steichen is the head coach. Sorry about that. But yeah, so the head coach is good, but I'm not really sure what's going on with the quarterback, right? Anthony Richardson looked really good last year, but he kept getting hurt. So if he can play a little bit smarter and not get hurt, along with Jonathan Taylor, the improved receiving core, they could get as high as like 9-10 wins. But again, there's still like a bit of uncertainty. We're not sure about the health capabilities, what the backup situation looks like. Again, the strength of the division is good. The Titans could be a problem. They have to play Houston twice. They have to play the Jaguars twice. Again, just kind of a tough situation. They'll have a little bit harder of a schedule because they finished a little better last year. So you could see where like things may be a little bit tougher for this team last year or this year. But again, in a different division, they could be a lot higher. But of course, they run into the Jaguars, who I think are a 9 to 11 win team. I think as long as Trevor Lawrence gets over that weird slump that he was in last year and plays a lot better like he did 2 years ago in the first year of the Doug Peterson era, I think we'll see the Jaguars take a step forward. They did get a little bit better in the secondary. Their defensive line and linebacking core is always really good. I think their offense is pretty solid. It kind of maintains shape. So really the only question is if Trevor Lawrence can play more like he did 2 years ago compared to what he did last year. I think the Jaguars are pretty safe to put here in the 9 to 11 wins because they did pretty good last year, even with Lawrence struggling for a good chunk of the year. So again, you kind of have to look at that and go, all right, so if he doesn't struggle, they should be a pretty solid like second place type team. Boy, this looks radically different than what it looked like last year. I had the Jaguars winning it last year with like the Titans in second, the Colts in last, and these guys in third. Well, I think this is going to be probably the most common prediction, right? Is the Houston Texans winning the AFC South. Most people are going to have them as one of the top teams because, again, they had a really good offseason. They added Stephon Diggs. The running game got better. Their defense got better. They have great coaching from the looks of things with the Miko Ryans. CJ Stroud is set to take another step forward. He's going to have even more help with the addition of Diggs. It's really just a really solid football team. They should be able to build on what they did last year. Like, save for a major sophomore slump, this team is pretty well set to be pretty solid out of the AFC South. They built a good team. They were patient. They did it right. And now they can kind of build around Stroud for going forward with a team that was already pretty good. This should be how the AFC South kind of shakes out, or at least that's how I'm thinking it shakes out. Let's go to the AFC West. Pretty easy one. Denver Broncos. I think they'll finish in fourth at about a 5-7 clip. I'm not really sure if Sean Payton's right for the modern game of football. I don't really know if the game has passed him by. I have no idea how the quarterback situation's about to look in Denver with Bo Nix and everybody like that. I'm not a big fan of that situation. The offense, again, is just going to be kind of anemic. They lost Judy. It's like, boy, they have at least a receiver, I suppose. The run game, they have that Williams guy. If they have an offensive line that can block and their defense really isn't good. I get that they had a good preseason, but that's because they had open position battles at like every single position. So the entire team was playing as good as they could so they could become starters. I don't think that translates well to the regular season. What do we got next? The Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. I have them at about 7-9 wins. I think they'll be a top defensive team, even a top 3 defensive team. But we've seen with the last few years of the Patriots, being a top defense doesn't necessarily translate to a lot of wins, especially when your offense doesn't really inspire a lot of hope. Maybe Gardner Minshew can play good and kind of break that curse of bad Raiders quarterback play, tanking all their seasons. They do have good weapons, right? They have Devontae Adams. He's pretty good. You can throw him the ball. They got some other guys out there that are pretty good. I just don't know who they are, but they got Jacoby Myers. He's solid. Yeah, maybe Gardner can play as good as he did with the Colts. That should help out quite a bit. Could get him as high as 8-9 wins, but that offense just really doesn't inspire a lot of hope. Nope. Well, obviously, too. Who cares? I have the Los Angeles Chargers also finishing in that 7-9 range win. Again, it's kind of like the first year of the Harbaugh era. A lot of change in Los Angeles over the offseason. You have a whole new coach, a whole new offensive scheme, a whole new everything, new defense, it's just basically Harbaugh brought in a whole new change. You lost a ton of the receivers like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I don't really know who they're going to throw the ball to. It could be a little weird at first. Sounds like they're going to run the shit out of it despite having Herbert. So again, I'm not really sure how it's going to go, but I think they're a talented enough team with a good enough head coach where they should probably win a good amount of games, probably later on in the year once they get going. I expect kind of like a bad start, but a good finish from these Los Angeles Chargers. But that means Kansas City kind of cakewalks the division. I don't really see it as being much of a challenge to them this year. They're the 2-time champions. They've won 3 in 5 years, and they're looking to win their 3rd straight. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. Hopefully there's another team that can step up and stop them. We'll see. Maybe it's the Lions. Maybe it's the Ravens. It probably won't be Buffalo because they just can't beat these. It'd be cool if Buffalo could beat them, only then to lose to Detroit. That'd be a funny Super Bowl, let me tell you. Either way, Kansas City should win this pretty good. They got a little bit better in the offseason with the receiver additions. Not really sure if Rashee Rice is going to be around for a lot of the season or whenever his suspension might hit. Because he's going to get suspended, most likely. But he's going to play week 1. So, not really sure. Suspicious. All right, that's my AFC West. AFC North, this one's kind of a tight division, but the easiest one to figure out is probably the Pittsburgh Steelers. Based on what we've seen in this offseason, based on what we've seen in the preseason, that offense is going to be terrible with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Their defense will probably be pretty solid. That's not really a surprise. They'll probably finish right around 500 or just over like they usually do, but I don't think that'll be good enough to place higher than 4th in this division. I do think this is the hardest division in football to like be a mediocre team in, and yeah, that's just kind of the fate of the Steelers this year, is they're going to be incredibly mediocre. All right, these two I'm going to kind of do at the same time because it kind of goes in tandem with one another. I have the Browns finishing in 3rd with 9 to 11 wins if Deshaun Watson doesn't play well. Again, they have a good running team. They play incredible defense, one of the best in the NFL at it. They have solid coaching. We've seen that last year with Stefanski, winning with like, I don't even know what the hell he was doing, but he was winning. Again, their offense got a little bit better with Judy. And again, it really just depends on if Watson plays good. I think they'll finish higher than the Bengals. But if Watson kind of doesn't play good and they have to do what they did last year and kind of patch their way through it, they'll finish in 3rd at about 9 to 11 wins. And again, and with the Bengals, again, their fate kind of depends on what Watson and the Browns do. Because if Watson doesn't play well, then the Bengals will probably get 10 or 12 wins. It could even be over Cleveland. That flips this to give them the kind of edge over Cleveland, is the games against each other. And like with the Bengals, normally I'd have them winning this division and feel really good about it. But over the last few days, over the last week, I've had this like sour turn on Cincinnati where I feel like there's something weird with them that I'm just not feeling. Maybe it's just bad reporting, bad media, not really sure, but it seems like the vibes in Cincy feel really weird. I'm not really liking what's going on there. And if the Browns can have competent quarterback play, I think they can leapfrog them. But again, if they don't, Cincy could get 2nd in the division and make their way into the playoffs quite easily. Boy, is that going to be a fun... This is going to be a fun division to watch. And then, of course, I think the Ravens will ultimately win this division. I actually think they're going to be the #1 seed this year. I like the moves that they made in the offseason. I like what they looked like last year. You could see the forms of what was developing. They were a pretty young receiving core. Now they have another year with Deshaun. They should be healthier, or with Lamar. They should be healthier this year. They should be a lot more... They should be in like year 2 of a plan that they enacted last year, where it was more throwing, a little less running. They added Derrick Henry, so that should add another element that scares the shit out of people. Their defense is a year older with guys like Kyle Hamilton. Again, they have really fun pieces out there that should make them quite the team as they get older as well, because they were a pretty young team as last year. Adding Derrick Henry really changes things a lot too. So I like the Ravens. I think they'll be the 1 seed in the AFC. Last but not least, the Patriots finishing at 6 to 8 wins. I'm not really going to talk about why, because they're my favorite team. It's just we have the hardest, I think one of the hardest, if not the hardest schedule in the NFL. All new coaching, Jacoby Brissett and rookie quarterback. Yeah, and we don't really know what the offense is going to look like. Again, they'll probably play really good defense like they usually do, but ultimately it's like until we see that offense put up more than like 11 points a game, then yeah, you know. The Miami Dolphins, I think they'll have an incredible start to the year like they always do. They always seem to play good to begin the year. They could go 8-9-0. But then December will hit and it'll mess everything up and push them back down into 3rd place and probably cost them playoff seeding again until they can kind of beat this curse. It's 24 straight years of it. It's like, wow, we have a good start to the year and December ruined it. Everybody's hurt and the season's over. Kind of have to beat that reputation in order for you to like beat that reputation. You know what I mean? But again, then we go to the New York Jets. I have them as, again, if everybody stays healthy, this should be the case, right? 9-11 wins, one of the best defenses in the NFL, very good pieces on offense. They just need a quarterback. If Rodgers can remain healthy and he still has it, this should be a 9-11 win team. They should be a top team in the AFC. Again, just because of the situation of, I mean, obviously, right? It's just like, yeah, they should be good. Rodgers has good weapons, a good defense. That's a lot of wins. So again, just stay healthy. It would be funny if they suck, though. And then I have the Buffalo Bills. Despite all the losses of Diggs and their defense, I think they'll be a good team because I genuinely think they are about to be the most annoying tight end spamming team we've ever seen in the NFL. Knox and Kincaid with Josh Allen, it's going to be one of them weird things where they score a shitload of points all year and just really are a tough team to play, I think. I genuinely believe that. So I have Buffalo winning the division on one of the most annoying offenses we've ever seen. AFC playoff seedings, and I have to get through this quick. I have the Jaguars winning the 7 seed at 9-11. Jets winning the 6 seed at 9-11. Or, you know what I mean, 9-11 wins. I have the Cincinnati Bengals or the Cleveland Browns winning that 5 seed. Again, Cincinnati wins it if the Browns and Watson don't play well, but if Watson plays well and is having a good year, I think the Browns take the 5 seed. And the Cincinnati Bengals or Browns miss the playoffs. And then in 4th, I have the Houston Texans between 10 to 12 wins. In 3rd, I have the Buffalo Bills just a little bit ahead of them. Maybe even if they head-to-head, that kills it. Then I have the Kansas City Chiefs as the 2 seed. And as my 1 seed I already mentioned, I have the Baltimore Ravens. So that is the AFC side of the predictions. Let's go like this. Make sure we still have plenty of time. And then jump over to the NFC predictions. All right. So this is the NFC. Basically, let's start with the NFC North. Again, pause the video if you want to see these things slowed down. We have the Minnesota Vikings with 5 to 6 wins. They've had a very, very rough offseason. The quarterback situation's in complete shambles. They're going with Sam Darnold. This is kind of a throwaway effort year for the Vikings. Kind of just develop young players, see what you have in terms of total talent, and then kind of rebuild from there once you get JJ back next year and you can kind of build for the future. You know what I mean? This is a blow-off year. Play for the draft. You have nothing really to play for. Just who cares? Maybe Sam Darnold has like a crazy resurgent year like Geno Smith. That'd be wild. Yeah, if that happens, you heard me here call it first. I get credit for that. If Sam Darnold is white Geno Smith. Chicago Bears, I do like what they did this offseason. They put quite the team around young Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams looked like he may be the thing the Bears have been waiting for. An actual NFL quarterback. He could break all the Bears records in year 1 of his contract as a rookie. He could easily hit 4,000, like 35 touchdowns. That wouldn't be crazy. I mean, that's a talented young kid. The crux of the Bears is I don't really like their coaching. I think they need to get rid of the head coach, get an actual coaching staff in there that knows what they're doing. The defense looks really good. We just have to really actually see the offense led by a rookie quarterback in regular season games to know what it's going to be. It could be a rough start that ends really well. It could be a really good start that kind of ends rocky, but somewhere in the middle is what the Bears will be. And that's why I think they're a 9-win team, 8 or 9-win team. I feel it. Second place though, we have the Green Bay Packers at 9 to 11 wins. I like the Green Bay Packers. Like I like that they're a young team. I like that they're coming together at the same time. I think LaFleur's a underrated coach a little bit. I think he gets a lot of shit, but he's pretty underrated. My only, I like the talent on the team. My only real question and my only reservation about Green Bay, I know they beat Detroit, but again, beating Detroit last year with a good offense wasn't that difficult. You just had to score a shitload more than them. That was an impressive win, but and beating Dallas in the playoffs, even though LaFleur kind of seems to own Dallas, especially in a playoff capacity. Outside of that, it's like he kind of put up a bunch of really gaudy numbers against like mediocre defenses and kind of bad teams. And again, I'm not using that against them. You play who you play and you beat up who you beat up. You're supposed to do that. But again, it's kind of one of them things where it's like it's hard to anoint that this is like the next great thing and the next great Packers team when we've seen it for like half a year. And then they fell to the same team they always lose to, the 49ers. I want to see it. I want to see it for a full year. I want to just make sure I have a little bit of apprehension because, again, it's one of them things where you look at it, it all looks good, it feels good, but what happens if Love comes out and sucks? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we figured him out and he's all done now. I don't think that's going to be the case. He seems good, but I just got to see it for less than like 10, more than like the 9 or 10 games that we've seen. Also, I think the biggest problem for them is this team. I think this is one of the best teams in the NFL. The only real weakness they have is the fact that they have rookie corners. And both of those corners look very good. But they also have veteran corners all over. They have good safety system. They've got pretty solid linebackers and an emerging linebacker in Jack Campbell. Their defensive line looks a lot better than it did last year with DJ Reader added. Then you look at their offense, one of the best, if not the best line in football. Jared Goff was a great passer. They've got great receivers. With Jamison Williams looking like he's going to break out, and they added in whether it be Tim Patrick or Allen Robinson to kind of fill a slot for a big body possession guy to go alongside St. Brown. They have Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. They have Montgomery. Like, they have so many pieces and so much weaponry. They've got Campbell at coaching, and they were literally like 2 plays from going to a Super Bowl last year. So, I mean, it's one of them things where it's like, I don't see the weaknesses of the team. Even I do like the Lions, full disclosure, but at the same point, even if I didn't, I'd be like, this is a very well put together team. It's hard to point out the faults. I think this is the 1 seed in the AFC, in the NFC personally. I think this is my 1 seed. So it's really tough to look past what Detroit's built. It's very impressive. It'd be crazy if they fell apart. We have the Washington Commanders finishing in 4th in the NFC East. I think this because everything's brand new coaching, bad offensive line, sort of bad offense. Defense is going to be hit and miss. It was good, but they traded some people, so I'm not too sure now. We'll see how it goes. Kind of a figured out year. I don't know. It's the Commanders. They don't inspire much hope. The New York Giants, this is kind of a dependent situation, right? Because they have good pieces on offense. They've got a good defense. Well, they have pieces of a good defense. They lost a couple guys. Should still be solid, though. They've got a good, like a really solid coaching staff with Brian Dable. The only question is Daniel Jones going to look like he usually does, or is he going to play like that one weird year a couple years ago where he was a machine? If Daniel Jones can kind of jump back and turn back the clock to like old Daniel Jones and play like that for one more year, then the Giants could have a very surprisingly good year because they're a very low-key good team with a bad quarterback situation. So it's all over the place. They could be pretty good. They could shock people this year if Jones plays well, but if he doesn't, you're kind of trudging along till you get to next year and get a new QB for a team that's actually not badly put together. It's actually not too terrible. So the top of the NFC East is a little tricky, right? There's some questions for me with Dallas in that they sort of had this dramatic offseason. Not a big deal. McCarthy seems to be an all right regular season coach. My real issue is like the offensive line issues. They lost a few guys there. Not really a fan of the run game. I don't think Michael Gallup's there anymore. Or he is. I don't know. It's just their offense is always kind of like the situation that I got to see. It's probably going to be just fine, but I want to see it. I want to make sure it's still good. Their defense should still be pretty good. But again, it's losing Gilmore. I don't know. There's just something about the Cowboys where I don't feel like I know they're going to be a good team. I just don't think they're going to be better than an Eagles team that made a pretty good amount of changes and fixed their team up in the offseason, especially on the defensive side, which was their major issue. I don't know. I just feel like if they weren't, I'd have them winning the division if it wasn't for the Eagles. Again, I like that the Eagles fixed up their defense for the most part. They added some pieces back in, like CJ Gardner-Johnson. Maybe that could help out with overall team chemistry, get the offense feeling a little bit better. Maybe there was just something off last year. I'm not really sure what it was. I feel like this is going to be a close division, though. I feel like this one's going to come down to like head-to-head versus each other games, and it's like really hard for me to pick which one of these two teams actually wins it, but my gut was telling me Philly, so I went with Philly. This was the one I couldn't figure out, if I'm being honest. I don't have good explanation for this one, if I'm being real. I'm sorry. Is that it? The NFC West? Come on. Okay. All right, then I have the Arizona Cardinals. This one feels self-evident. They are still kind of in this weird rebuild. The coaching staff is whatever. We're not really sure how healthy they're going to look. Their line isn't the greatest. They have at least Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. That should be fun to watch with Trey McBride. Could be something. They could win some games with that. But ultimately, it just seems like their defense is kind of still whack. Offense isn't still fully all the way there. They just kind of feel like a team that's always in kind of like constant building mode. So then we got the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of change. First year without Pete Carroll, so it's going to be kind of an adjustment year. It might take a little bit to get the team playing good under this new head coach. Could be a rough start, but a good finish to the year. I think because also the two top teams in the division, they're going to have some struggle with that, with playing against the Rams and the 49ers. So yeah, there's some things that are just going to keep them down. I don't know how good Geno Smith is still going to be. He's getting kind of old. Line isn't really that good in Seattle. So, and again, no Pete Carroll, new regime. Could be initial early struggle, then they finish out a little stronger. So Los Angeles Rams, I'd probably have them win the division if they're a team that if they didn't play with the 49ers. I like the Rams team. I think Stafford is a good QB still, pretty solid, still productive. The offensive line should be improved from last year. Again, the offense should be good from last year as long as everybody stays healthy, with Puka, with Cooper, with Kyron Williams, with Stafford. Pretty solid. And then you have to look at, of course, the situation with the defense, right? There's a little questions there with their defense. Is it still going to be solid? What are they going to look like in the post-Donald era? So that's partially another reason why I don't have them winning it or finishing a little higher with win totals. Just a little questions about the defense. Is it still going to be that shutdown, scary defense that we're used to? Questions. And then, of course, we have the 49ers. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. It feels like there's going to be a little bit of a hangover from the Super Bowl, but they've also been there enough to where they can handle that kind of letdown. I think Purdy should be improved. Their offense should still be pretty solid. They have most everybody still. They still got Debo, Ayuk, and Curtis Samuel, Kittle. Their defense should still be rock solid. Yeah, I don't really see anything that should knock this team down. I just feel like the league around them is getting better, so it'll be harder for them to get as many wins, especially their own division. So not much change out west. NFC South, who really cares? Panthers winning 36 games. Mainly just, everything's brand new. We still don't really know what's going on with the offense. Defense doesn't look terrible, but it's not great. It's about where they should be. One of the worst teams in the league. New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr is the quarterback. If they had a better quarterback, they could win more games because the team isn't actually half bad. It's just they're going with Derek Carr, so they get to finish at about the same record as what the Saints or the Raiders get to finish at. When you associate with Derek Carr, you expect 7 to 9 wins. That's just kind of what you're doing. That's the business you're putting yourself in. By the way, I'm not really providing a lot for the NFC South because really, honestly, if we go like this, all 3 of the top teams are in it. The reason I went with the Falcons losing the division to the Buccaneers is the Falcons are, again, there's a lot of new. Kirk Cousins does not have the greatest reputation for big time clutch games, playoff games themselves. The dude literally lost to Daniel Jones in a playoff game. Like with Justin Jefferson and all them too. This was recently. That game got Daniel Jones paid a lot of money. And it's just one of them things where it's like the Falcons have this tremendous history of just completely blowing everything and everything going wrong. I'm not really sure if I trust a 38, 37, maybe 36 year old quarterback off of Achilles. It's the same problem I have with Rodgers. I got to see it. It's just there's some newness going on that could lead to some initial struggle out of the gate, which allows a team like Tampa, which is the exact same team as it was last year, except for Canales, who's now with Carolina. Basically the exact same Tampa team going out there running it back. They you know what I mean? It's if Tampa had a bunch of change, I would probably go with Atlanta to win the division, but I actually kind of like that Tampa's running out basically the same team as last year with a year together, and they all kind of know each other. There's some good vibes there. They like each other. They've had playoff success together. I like that from a team that just formed. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay over Atlanta. But despite how shitty the NFC South is, it's probably going to be very entertaining. Let's look at the playoffs. We're going to get this video in 30 minutes. We have the Rams making the playoffs with this 9 to 11 wins. They're the 7 seed. Then we have the Green Bay Packers making it with 9 to 11 wins as well as the 6 seed. As the 5 seed, we have the loser of the AFC or the NFC East. Basically, this could be the Eagles as well, but we'll put the Cowboys here. Our 4 seed will obviously be the NFC South. All the other teams are better than them. Welcome to being an NFC South winner. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles getting the 3rd seed. The 2 seed then obviously falls to the 49ers and a flip-flop with the Lions. The Lions take the 1 seed this year, which would put them in a pretty good spot. So yeah, that pretty much does my predictions. As we said, this is kind of how the NFC goes. Just a reminder to the AFC, you have the Jaguars, Jets, Bengals or Browns, Texans, Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens. And then, of course, you have the Rams, Packers, Cowboys, Buccaneers, Eagles, 49ers, and Lions for the NFC. So, alrighty. Those are my division winners. Those are my predictions for who wins each division and how the playoffs may start to shape up. I'm glad I was able to get this all into one big super video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, leave your thoughts below with your predictions, what you think of mine. You can make fun of them, you could be critical, you could love them. I don't really mind. Just leave your thoughts, interact with the video, leave a like, subscribe. We have plenty of more videos coming out in the next week, in the next few days. So yeah. Whew. Can't believe I actually got that to 30. I want to get it to about 30 minutes directly. But yeah. I think I did pretty good. Just getting everything kind of. All right. Well, anyway, those are my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. Get ready for the wild card predictions coming next. That'll be tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. As always, go day, night, mid morning, mid afternoon, mid evening, whenever you listen, just have a good one. Go Lions, go Tigers, and of course, it's always go Patriots. See you next time. Woo!